When we buy or sell things, the payment is usually processed by a bank or credit card company. Problem number one, the companies often take a cut of the transaction. Two, we have to trust these companies to protect our sensitive data from hackers. Three, most international payments take a long time and are expensive. To solve these problems, we could use a special currency that is secure and based on the science of cryptography, which is a way of protecting information using mathematics. This special type of currency is called a cryptocurrency and only exists in computer networks. When you send someone this special currency, the money goes directly to them, removing the middleman. And at the same time, the transaction is broadcast to the entire network and recorded in a permanent way, which means it's almost impossible to fool the system. Costs of making payments are lower, transactions are faster, especially across countries, and even those people around the globe who don't have bank accounts can buy or sell goods and participate in the global economy. However, there are some risks. The transactions in most cryptocurrencies are anonymous. Some cryptocurrencies can even be untraceable. This can make it easier for the bad guys to make payments without being noticed. If you lose your password, you could lose all your money. At the moment, cryptocurrencies are highly volatile. They can't process large amounts of transactions quickly yet, and they're not even widely accepted. But if we can counter the risks, then this new technology, or some variation of it, can completely change the way we sell, buy, save, invest, and pay our bills. And who knows, this could be the next step in the evolution of money.
Wow, how are we doing? What a time to be alive today. 10 years later, and we have seen IMF saying, hey, cryptos are here to stay. This is not going anywhere. I'm sure you also were shocked to see that a public endorsement by IMF about cryptocurrency, where they are trying to educate the audience and what really is cryptocurrency. Just a 2-minute video. It took them 10 years to acknowledge that cryptocurrency, blockchain are here to stay, and they are going to challenge how we have been doing things. So to me, this is like a big step and a sign to anyone who was doubting whether there is any future for cryptocurrency. Now you have it. International Monetary Fund says yes. Out of nowhere, they decide to, as a global financial institute, to educate its audience on crypto. Although in my opinion this video was outdated, flawed, and biased, especially with the emphasis they had on the bad guys using cryptocurrency to send money anonymously. They need some lessons there to understand that we have public blockchain and private blockchains. Bitcoin Vault, Ethereum, they run public blockchains. So they are pseudo-anonymous, but for you to buy and keep those coins, you have to do your KYC, know your customer. So they'll ask you for your ID, they'll ask you for your proof of residence for you if you want to interact to transact with big amounts. So that's them trying to paint crypto dirty and red with a red brush, but that doesn't stop their further comment about that. Remember, IMF, maybe did not pay attention to the United Nations estimate where they said the amount of US dollars and other fiat government issued currencies, we call them fiat currencies, that have been loaded every year. We have seen terrorists using planes to attack buildings. We have seen them doing all sorts of things using cars. We don't paint cars as bad. We don't paint the US dollar as bad or the other fiat currencies. But why paint cryptocurrencies to be bad? Because there are few people who used it for their dirty acts, Anyway, the other thing that we need to pay attention to here is there's some key things they have picked, which are like, cryptocurrency are digital assets. An asset is something that you want that adds value over the time. It's not a liability. Owning a digital asset means you're positioning yourself very well, because this is a true confirmation that wealth transfer is truly taking place. Remember, this has been happening for years and years, from back in the days when our forefathers and mothers used to do barter trade, where they're exchanging goods for goods. Then they realize, you know what, this is not working because of the perishability, divisibility, and the trust dependent. Then we saw these moving to gold and other jewelries that were considered valuable, like rocks and animals stuffs. But those had their own challenges. But until today, and even for years to come, gold has retained the true meaning of money. Money should retain its value or grow in value over the time. With the barter trade, that was very difficult, and that way, due to consumer driven needs, these had to go to the next phase, which was introduction of gold as money. Gold and other, as I mentioned earlier, other like animal horns and other special rocks were used, and people are happy with that, because unlike the previous system whereby you had to look for somebody who has what you are looking for and they want what you have, those coincidence of needs, now that became less important, because gold being the true meaning of money, that it has a value of cryptocurrency, all through and through, gold was the true meaning of money. It's still growing in value, still something that I would suggest you keep some, if you know. Okay. The major challenge with gold is, although it's good as money, it's very bad as a currency. You know, it's a rock, and the only thing that makes it valuable is its scarcity. There is only limited amount of gold in the world. You don't walk out of your house and you collect gold, you know. So, and to get it, you need a lot of resources through the mining. So gold becomes less attractive when it comes to its usage as a currency, because you cannot easily cut it into smaller fraction, and for you to do that you need special tools, special skills. Your wealth is worth this much based on how much gold you have in the bank. So they would write a piece of paper. That paper represented the money that you own. Okay. So this became very beautiful. It worked perfectly, and we had more equality in the world, because most of the biggest gold producers are actually countries that we see in Africa. For example, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Congo are the biggest gold producers, you know. So what would mean is they would exchange maybe cars with Americans, and they would issue them with the gold. So this was working perfectly, you know, and some of the countries like the French were very quick to accumulate as many gold as possible. And later on, you know how it goes. The then American President Richard Nixon felt like, you know what, I have a campaign coming. We know the biggest gold producers. I need a lot of money for me to fund this project. So what am I gonna do? So they actually detached the value of dollar from gold, such that they could be easily print as much cash as they wanted without being limited by availability of gold, you know. And that actually shocked the whole world. And you can read about it, about Richard Nixon in 1970, because he needed money to fund the Vietnam War and fund his own campaign. And that's actually introduced inflation, what we see today, you know. So this was a man-made-ish problem, and we saw what happened. You know, they introduced the trust-dependent system, whereby they can take any piece of paper as a government, and they tell you this is worth this much. If they write 102, that's $102 note. You don't need to ask them for what backs up the value of this paper you have given me. and that system is fraudulent, and that system led to collapse of many nations. Zimbabwe was the former fruit basket of Africa. Where are they now? The government, through corruption and mismanagement of funds, printed 100 trillion Zim dollar note. Today, and typical of many other countries, they imprinted these currencies as if they're going out of fashion, and literally that's exactly what happened. If you look at what happened to Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Cyprus, South Sudan is now running at more than almost 200% inflation. And this is so bad such that if I give you 1,000 of any currency 10 years ago, you'd have done a lot of shopping. How much can you shop with the same today? Almost nothing, because the buying power has been dying slowly and surely. And these are some of the things that I would have wished the IMF mentioned when they were describing why cryptocurrency, because the fact that there will only be 21 million Bitcoin and Bitcoin Vault means that there will always be scarcity, and there is more demand because we're giving birth every day to more than 200,000 newborns. The world population is more than 6.6 billion and still growing. So similar to the situation we have with the with the lad, whereby we're not making more lad, but we actually getting more and more babies, meaning that we'll be fighting for the demand for the existing piece of land will keep growing. The same concept applies to cryptocurrency. There will only be 21 million of those coins, nothing more. And that means the demand for that will always keep growing. So that's a very important aspect people need to understand, because that's what makes cryptocurrency a true asset, an asset that you want to keep. You want to accumulate as many of these coins now and use them in future. So how can you get involved? One way you can get involved is to go and buy any amount of coins you can afford, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Vault. Just put some, and you don't need to have millions to get started, because one coin can be shared. For example, with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Vault, one Bitcoin can be shared by 100 million people. The smallest unit of a Bitcoin or Bitcoin, what you call a Satoshi, and you need 100 million of those, to buy one full Bitcoin. So you can see it's affordable. It's bringing opportunity to everybody, and they grow in value because of this limited in supply and growing demand for them. The other way you can get involved is you can do trading. Trading is when you monitor the charts, know when to buy and when to sell. I always say leave this to the professionals, because you can easily lose a lot of money. The other way, which is the safest, the easiest, and medium to long term, is mining. Get involved in production of these coins. Remember, there'll be only 21 million. So I wouldn't advise anybody to jump into Bitcoin mining, because most of them are already in circulation. That opportunity is gone. As you can see here, we have more than 18 million already in circulation out of the 21 that we'll ever have. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy some Bitcoin, but the opportunity is kinda not there anymore. When you go to other coins, as you see, there is so many of them. There is this one that I find very fascinating, BTCV. It's a new coin that's challenging some of the problem that Bitcoin has, which is like the amount available, like the distribution. And you'll see it's relatively new. It was only launched in December 2019, and it's solving the issue of you can see there is only 7 million coins in circulation out of the 21 million that will ever be produced. So there is real opportunity here, and you can read more about what the coin is trying to achieve, like security, simplicity, flexibility, being able to reverse a transaction if something goes wrong. You can read all that from this white paper. The guy behind this project, I respect him. He's an innovator, somebody who is always trying to solve problems in the world. I want to associate myself with such people, and he has a lot of experience in this, So the aim of this coin is to be like a true long-term store value, but right now the price has gone lower, so it's a very good time to actually get in. But as I said, mining is much more exciting. You can buy the coin from the different exchanges as this number is growing every day. And there is a lot of amazing things, but the most important thing you want to pay attention to is the roadmap to see where the project is. This was just launched in 2019 December. The coin was about less than $1. Now we saw it getting integrated into different apps. It's got listed recently in different exchanges, as I showed you. Then now we're going to see more features coming into play about this decentralized digital mining, which is bringing sanity in the whole industry about unfair distribution of coins, unfair distribution of mining facilities. As you know, most of the Bitcoin are held by very little number of people, and that is not right, because if one person gives up on the journey and they sell a lot of coins, then they kill the market. They supply more than what should be there. And then they're going to be doing marketing at the end of this year. So it's a very nice opportunity to step in and start accumulating as many coins as you can. Okay. So I'm happy to see, like obviously what IMF has done, and it's just telling people that, what, this is an opportunity that you want to pay attention to. You don't want to be left behind, because once it starts moving, you will regret why you did not accumulate as many coins as you could possibly accumulate. So thank you, the Nerdy Scientist. Hope you found this informative.